Over 2 million in ad spend analyzed for ourselves and clients later, this is the best way to get started setting up your first Google Ads campaigns to maximize your chances of conversions and, of course, profitability. So timestamps below, along with some other helpful links and resources, including a link to our Google Ads Playbook to help you shortcut the process of keyword research and, of course, writing your ads. Now, if you're getting started with Google Ads for the first time, you'll just head over to ads.google.com. You'll go ahead and click on Start Now. And once you do, you'll be able to sign in. You'll start creating your account. And somewhere in there, you might see a page that looks something like one of these two. But essentially what you want to do is you want to create a campaign without a goal or look to switch to expert mode. And once you do, you should get to a page that looks something like this. So once you are here, you're ready to create your first campaign. Now, when it comes to setting up your first campaign, all you need to do is go and click on this new campaign button here, and then you'll get to a page that looks something like this, where Google is going to try and hold your hand, just like they probably did when you were setting up your account. And this is where we're going to have to again say, thank you, but you're going to cause more harm than good this round, so we're just going to go it alone. And you'll go ahead and click on Create a Campaign Without Goals or Guidance. This gives you all of the options you need. And especially when you're just getting started, some of these other things like leads and sales, they aren't even going to work properly because you have to set up a bunch of tracking codes on your site for those to work. With Tag Manager, I'll leave a link in the cards in the description to that video because that's what you'll do next. But for now, we'll click Without Goals or Guidance, and then we'll go ahead and select Search. So this is going to be make sure that our ads are showing up just in search. We'll have to tell Google again, but for now, this is good enough. And we'll go ahead and click on Continue. Now it's going to ask you for some business information. You don't need to enter this at all. This is just going to be Google's way of trying to find keywords, and spoiler alert, the keywords are going to most likely be really irrelevant, if not just downright terrible. So you can skip that. So we'll just come down to the campaign name, go ahead and enter in whatever makes sense to you. You'll develop your own naming convention. For the most part, you just want to be able to look at the campaign and know what type of campaign it is and what the goal is. And that's all you need to do. So we'll go and click on Continue. And now we're finally inside of our campaign and we can start setting up the settings. And a great way to say that, set up the settings. So let's quickly jump into this diagram and walk through the structure of the ads account so you know how these settings are going to apply to everything that you're doing. If you want to skip the little strategy section, just jump straight back into the interface. Here's the timestamp to do that. So what we're doing right now is setting up your campaign settings at the very top here. So this is going to be your location, your bidding, your budget, your ad schedule, start and stop dates, and it's going to apply to all of your ad groups, which is below. So in our ad groups, this is where we make tiny clusters of keywords and where we tell Google who we want our ads to be shown to. And then inside of those ad groups, we're going to write our ads, which is what people physically see when they type in our keywords into Google, and of course our ads hopefully show up. And so that's just a quick rundown of how the campaigns are structured. We have our campaign, our ad groups, and then of course our ads. So let's jump back over into the interface here and we'll start with bidding. So with bidding, there are some really cool things you could do with this. We could make a whole video on it. But for now, before you have conversion tracking and purchase tracking and all that fun stuff you can get to later, you're just going to want to bid per click. So we'll just leave it at clicks here. And then we're going to want to set a maximum cost per click. And this is going to essentially be how much are we willing to pay when someone clicks on our ad. Now, you may be wondering, okay, but how should I know how much to actually pay? Well, the good news is WordStream has done that research for us. So here are some basic industry averages of how much you could expect to pay per click based upon your type of business. And so what I recommend is just go through this list, find the niche or industry that is most closely related to what you are, and then just add 5 or 6 cents to it, right? Because Google is a auction-based system. So we don't want to bid the average. We want to bid just above. It's kind of like the old eBay days where you're bidding 1 cent at a time, right? Trying to just inch out the previous person. And so here what I'll do, since we're going to be doing this for business services, I'm just going to put the bid at 386 since the average was 380. And that's as complicated as the bid has to be, because after just a couple days, you're going to start to see how much things actually cost. And in fact, Google will actually tell you but they're not going to tell you here. They're only going to tell you after you start to spend money. So we can go ahead and click on next. And I just want to say you don't need a fancy software to figure out what your bidding should be at the beginning. Just use those averages. Google will tell you exactly how much it costs to be at the top of the page or just on the first page. So we'll go ahead and click on next here. And then we have another area where we have to say, hey Google, please do what we asked and not keep expanding what you're trying to give us. So the first thing we need to do is uncheck search partners. So this is an example of what search partners can look like. As you can see, this is a random site. Someone types in some keywords and then our ads could show up on this random site. We don't want that. We only want to show up when someone goes to google.com and makes a search on Google itself, whether desktop or mobile. And then we need to come down here and click uncheck display network. And this essentially makes sure that when we are running our ads, they literally only show up on google.com. You don't want them showing up on random websites. So next we have locations. And so there's a little tricky thing in here, unless you are a hotel or in real estate. So the first thing you actually want to do is come down to location options here. And we are going to select presence. And so the issue here is you'll see presence or interest was by default. And this means that your ads will target people not only in your target locations, but who are interested in your target locations. And for most of us, we don't really care about people who are interested in our target location. We want people who are physically in it, right? Especially if we have a physical store or we're working with shipping, right? So if someone comes to our site and they're interested in, let's say, Oklahoma, but they don't actually live there and they're in, Canada or something, we don't ship to Canada, well, Google might show our ad to someone who was looking up vacations in Oklahoma. I know that's a really random example, but that's how it works. So we'll go and make sure we click on presence. Spend way too much time on that. So next, what we want to do is come over here to enter another location. So we'll go ahead and click on advanced search, and then I'll bring up this little diagram here. So depending upon your type of business, this will dictate how you go about adding locations. So if you are e-commerce or you're 100% online, you're shipping, worldwide or countrywide, then you're just going to have one country per campaign, like we're about to do here. So if you're servicing just one, let's say, state, territory, or province, then go ahead and use counties or big cities as your targeting. If you're local, and let's say you have a 30 to 50 mile radius around whatever your business is, then you're going to want to use zip codes, neighborhoods, and radius targeting. You can't use zip codes by themselves, and you shouldn't use zip codes by themselves, and you shouldn't use radius targeting by themselves. I have a whole rant on that, but suffice it to say, you can use radius targeting around whatever your particular business is, but then also include zip codes or neighborhoods so that you have data to start to understand where exactly your customers are coming from. It's going to be really helpful when you start optimizing your campaigns. So rant is over. We'll go ahead and click on add locations in bulk. I'm going to shortcut the process. I'm going to jump over to our campaign builder here, linked up in the description if you want to learn more. It is a paid tool. And I'll go ahead and copy all our 50 states, drop them in there. I'll go ahead and click on search here, click on target all. And you'll see that in our map over here, I've moved it so you can see now all 50 states are being targeted and we don't have any overlaps. So unless you're a local business doing radius targeting plus something else, you don't want any overlaps in what you're targeting because you want to be able to see the specifics of which locations are performing the best for you. So we'll go ahead and click on save here. And then we can go ahead and come down to languages. Now, for the most part, you're going to be able to leave this alone because you're going to be entering keywords. So presumably your keywords are in the language that you're looking to target. But if for some reason that isn't the case, then you can go ahead and set up your languages here. Now, the next option you have is audience targeting. Please ignore this. This is great for YouTube and search and discovery ads, not so much when it comes to Google search. So we'll come down here to more settings and we'll click on ad rotation, and I'm going to go through another little rant here. So by default, it's on optimize, prefer best performing ads. And for most of us, that's probably okay because we're not going to be checking this as much as we want to because we have so many other things to do, right? But let's just go through an example so you know what you're missing out on when you let Google just kind of take the wheel. So let's say we have two ads, right? And then we want to see which one performs better, obviously. And if we have it on rotate evenly, 300 impressions on one, 300 impressions on another. Then we come in and see one got 10 clicks, another got 2 clicks. Well, it's pretty obvious which ad's doing better. So you turn off the one that didn't get as many clicks and you keep running the one that got more clicks. And then you try again, right? You try and say, okay, how do we improve this ad? How do we get more clicks out of those 300 impressions? Well, the problem with Google optimizing is you'll come in a week later and you'll find that one got 500 and the other only got 100. And you're like, well, you can't compare apples to apples because one got so much more than the other. How do you know which one's better? The answer is you don't. Google just made a decision and decided that one was the one that should get all the traffic, and it makes it really hard to improve your ads. Now, after saying all that, for most of us, we simply don't have time to go in and continually update ad copy. And so unless you have someone doing it for you or you're really, really committed to this, then you can probably just leave it at optimize. But it is important to know what you're kind of missing out on. So I'll go ahead and leave it on optimize, and we'll jump down to our start and end dates. So here, what I like to do is I like to start my campaigns on a Thursday. That just happens to be because I like to review stuff on Friday and Saturdays. And so that way the campaigns are always kind of ending. So you do want to think about, when am I going to check this, right? Because if you're going to check it Monday morning, then you probably want to have your start date on a Sunday so that you are always looking back a whole week's worth of data. For me, it's Friday or Saturday, so I want stuff to end on Thursday. It's weird, but that's just the way my schedule seems to work out. So I'll have it start in the future, although you realize that it takes a long time to make and edit these videos, so the date is actually already in the past. But we'll go ahead and say that I'm going to run it for 2 weeks. And I highly recommend you do this. Please set an end date, because Google will not give you your money back if you forget to turn off your ads, if you forget to turn off your campaign. It's way better to come back in a month and go, oh, shoot, I totally forgot, versus, oh, I totally forgot, and they spent a lot of money. I'm not going to get that back, right? Please don't fight Google on the credit card, because then they're just going to suspend and ban your entire account, right? So go ahead, we'll set an end date. One more thing under more settings here, ad schedule. If you need your ads to be running when your business is physically open or when you're actually going to be taking phone calls, then you can go ahead and get pretty detailed with what times of day you want people to see your ad. Now, in the past, I would actually recommend breaking this out and have like 4-hour blocks. But after analyzing over 2 million in ad spend in multiple different businesses and niches, not as big of a deal as we initially thought. So you can go ahead and leave this alone. There's so many other factors that are going to be so much more important when it comes to optimizing your ads versus trying to obsess over which hour of the day you seem to be getting the most leads or traffic. So with that, we are all done with the basic campaign settings. So I'll go ahead and click on next here. And we are now ready to start setting up our keywords. So if we hopped back over to our diagram, at the very top, we've just set up the campaign settings with the exception of the budget, because Google's a little weird right now. And now we're ready to start looking at our ad groups and specifically what keywords to use. And the good news is we only need maximum of, let's say, 30 keywords to get started. So when we're creating ad groups, we're going to group keywords in very closely related clumps. So 3 to 7 max. And when we get into match types, you'll see how that winds up being a lot more. But in terms of unique keywords, we're going to have 3 to 5 ad groups and 3 to 7 keywords per ad group, right? That's all we need to do here. So to save you a ton of time when it comes to research, here are some examples of some different types of keyword kind of formulas you can use. And as you can see, they're all very descriptive. You can always pause if you want to read more, or check out the link in the description to the playbook that has all of these formulas outlined for you. And it really is this simple, right? We're just looking at how do we describe what we offer in plain whatever language it is, because people aren't fancy when they're typing in what they're looking for, right? So we just need to be descriptive of whatever it is we have to offer. So let's say for our example, we're a Facebook ads agency and we're looking to get more clients. Well, here's what some of our ad groups would look like. And so as you can see here, they're very similar, right? We're just changing a couple words here and there, But the reason that we want to group these together this way is we're going to be able to be very specific with our ad copy, right? Because when someone types in ads management versus agency versus manager, we want that to be reflected in the headline because we want to be able to enter that conversation in the back of your customer's mind. So, of course, you can check out the link in the description to the playbook, or you can come up with your own keywords. However you decide to do it, let's jump back into the interface here. And I'm just going to take our keywords and I'll go ahead and drop them in. And with that, that's all you need to do. You can actually set up the rest of your ad groups later on once your campaign is live. The version of Google Ads right now only lets you set up one ad group. I swear they are always changing it, but you'll want to set up at least 2 more, kind of like what you see in this example, and you'll see which keywords wind up working better. You'll be surprised that manager versus agency versus management, yeah, those are actually different people, and you'll find that maybe agency works way better than management. Now, as we dive into headlines, let's quickly go over the main components of your ad. And of course, we start at the top with your headline, and this is going to be where you call out specific benefits or roadblock breakers or results, or just simply say what it is that you offer. And this is going to be the most important part because this is what everybody reads. And then less important, but a opportunity to kind of skirt around the restrictions that Google has is your URL path 1 and 2. And so what I like doing here is leveraging phrases like discount or creating some sort of urgency. Generally, you can sometimes say things in your URL path that wouldn't fly in the headline or description. But of course, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that you should try pushing the envelope, just saying sometimes we found that some things seem to slip through. And then finally, we have the description, which we could talk about, but really nobody reads it. Like really, by the time we get to the description, you're just reinforcing whatever was in the headline. And then of course you have your ad assets or extensions. So if you're wondering like, why are we talking about assets? I thought these were extensions. Google just renamed it because they felt like it. So anytime you see ad asset, that's just code for extensions because they've changed the name. And so that's a quick overview of the different components of your ad. And of course, your headline is really what you want to focus on. So once we have our ad copy, we can jump back into the interface here. You can see we have our keywords. I'll just go ahead and click on ads. I'll click to create a responsive ad. I'm only going to create 1 for now, but you'll want at least 2. You can have up to 3. And of course, Google's going to change the rule as soon as I say that. And to save us some time, of course, I'll just use the playbook and I'll start copying and pasting over. And by this point of the campaign process, it's pretty much just copying and pasting, right? Hopefully you've done most of your copywriting outside of the Google Ads interface. Even if it's just a blank Word doc, your ideas are going to be so much better than being constrained, especially with that character counter looking at you all the time saying, oh, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. So we'll go ahead, drop in our URL, and this is going to be where you want the traffic to go. Please don't send people to your homepage. This should be a specific page on your site. Link in the cards in the description to a full-blown landing page guide if you're not quite sure what page to be sending traffic to. So we've got our URL paths, free audit, double your ROAS. Again, big asterisk there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm definitely not telling you to push the envelope. And then of course we can go ahead and copy over all of our headlines. I'll come down here to description. I'll add a description box and then we'll just copy and paste in our descriptions here. And of course you have the preview over here. It'll of course rotate through showing you the different combinations of things. And if you see one where you go, that seems really dumb, just leave it. Just leave it. Google's going to figure it out. Google's going to quickly figure out what does and does not work. And so we'll go ahead and scroll down here. You have the option for business name and logos, which is new as of the time of this recording, site links and callouts and more assets. We can always take care of that later. That's probably the first thing you're going to want to do after you've created your campaign. So we'll just go ahead and come down here and click on done, and then I'll click on next. And finally, we have our budget. So this is where I really don't understand why it's the last thing, but this is where we tell Google how much are we willing to spend per day. So when you're just getting started, it's really hard to know, right? Because let's say I'm bidding $3.86 per keyword. So if I put a budget of $5 per day, well, I'm only going to get 1 click a day, right? The budget's going to be spent pretty quickly, but you just have to choose what makes the most sense for you. And sometimes you can, if let's say you have a couple $100 for the month, well, maybe you should just spend a couple $100 the first 2 weeks, find the keywords that work, pause it, wait till next month when you have a new budget, and then you can open up and say $5 or $10 a day. Now, I'm doing this for the United States, and of course, Google's going to tell me, surprise, surprise, I should give them more money, right? So when you see things like this, that doesn't mean your campaign isn't going to work. It just means Google wants more of your money. Duh. So we'll leave it alone. And of course, here's a little breakdown of what your daily budget could look like if on a monthly basis, just for some quick calculations. So $5 to $20 per day is all you need, almost irrespective of the size of your business, to start finding keywords. And of course, you can always spend more later, and you can always scale later. It's not like you're missing out on lots of traffic. Google has hundreds of millions of people searching them every month. So if you miss some this month, you'll catch some more next month. So probably not necessary to talk about. So we'll go ahead and click on next. And of course, it's telling me no traffic is expected. Check your targeting settings to fix this. When you see stuff like this, this is Google saying, hey, I noticed you only have phrase and exact match. You should put in some broad match. We have a lot of traffic for you. Just put in one broad match keyword, just one. And you don't want to listen to them because they're just trying to, remember, they're a business. They make money when your ads get clicked. They don't care if you actually make money after the ads clicked. Their goal is to get your ads clicked. And they also have an inventory problem, which I won't go into. So you can ignore this. We'll come up here to click just publish campaign. Of course, it's telling us we should spend more money, and it's telling us they should have more leeway with our keywords, and we're just going to say no. So we'll go ahead and click on publish here. Your campaign's missing information. If you're doing this for the first time in a new account, this will pop up. It's okay. It just means you haven't entered your billing information yet. So I'll go ahead and click on publish, and it'll be publishing. And then if you still need to accept terms of service or set up your billing, then you'll get to a page that looks something like this. So I'll quickly do that. I'll click on fix it. I'll enter our credit card information, and then I'll click submit, and it'll say pending approval. This could take up to a day sometimes, especially if it's brand new and depending upon the country you're in, just being real. And we'll go ahead and click on fix it, and then it will hopefully refresh. And once you see this, that means you're all set, ready to go. So we can come up here back to our main campaign dashboard, and you can see our ads are scheduled, ready to go live. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. Most importantly, you're all set, ready to go with your first Google Ads campaign. Make sure you comment below with any of your questions, or just let me know that this video is already outdated because Google has changed the interface again, which just means I get to do this all over again, which is probably why we make these every couple of months. So make sure you check out that link in the description to the Google Ads Playbook to help you with this process, shortcut that keyword research. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more Google Ads guides just like this one, and ones that are a whole lot shorter. And until the next, keep building the business you love.